This is the Road Trip Rolls YouTube channel, and we are in my basement, the Fortress of Solitude, the Fortress of Smokitude. Working title, I'll take your suggestions in the comments, but today we're doing something really special. This is episode 1 of my dream sim build. I've already got lumber dropped off, I've got the screen ordered, the hitting mat, I've got the turf ordered. Really excited about this project. We're gonna do a lot of content here, building out a little podcast area back there. We will be insulating the walls, so you won't have to deal with this echo, and I will shoot the rest of this video as a voiceover, so you won't have to deal with it for the rest of this video. But basically what I'm gonna walk through is kind of the build plan for all the bones of the simulator, and show how I'm structuring it all from the floor to the screen and the frame. And then I'm gonna walk through the components I've chosen so far, and then the ones I haven't, because I'm really hoping I'm gonna get some feedback from you guys, mostly on the computer and the projector. I need help picking those out. I'm thinking about building my own computer, a little intimidated. Hoping to get some suggestions from you guys. So I'm gonna step back and just kind of use this as a blank slate. I'm gonna throw some designs over the top so you can see the layers that we're building in the sim. Let me know if you guys have any ideas. Obviously, I've already purchased some things, but if you got some ideas about how to make this better, I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We're gonna be making a ton more content now that I've got this space to do so. So keep an eye out on YouTube, keep an eye out on our website, sign up for our email list. Our Instagram did get taken down. We have a new one, but there's always a word it's gonna be taken down again. So sign up for our email list, subscribe to our YouTube, follow us. We really appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoy this video. Dream Sim coming up. Okay, so I actually built this space specifically to house a golf simulator. It is a 9.5 foot tall by 16 foot wide space. However, I did not realize I would need to have air handling in the top left corner of this room. So that's why you see a 55-inch by 18-inch soffit in the top left corner. So that has made this project a lot more complex, but that is the space we are working with. The first layer I'll be putting together is a frame built from standard 2x4 by 8 foot studs. I'll be using about 10 of them to construct this frame, and the main purpose of this is to set the screen about a foot away from the back wall of the room, so there's room for impact, there's room for sound deadening, and above the screen I'm also building a mini frame to put more padding, because the screen doesn't fill in that awkward area because of the soffit in the top left. So I'm running a 8x14 screen below the soffit and filling the area above the screen with padding. And because of that, I need to frame up a little false wall up there. So all in all, it's gonna take about 10 studs. This should be a pretty simple part of the project. The next step is cutting and securing plywood sheets over the exterior portions of the false wall I just built, basically creating a frame around where the screen is hanging. This will give me something to attach the foam padding to, and it will also help deaden the sound. The next step will be installing heavy staples and hooks that will allow us to hang both the screen and the padding behind the screen to deaden the sound. It's going to be a tedious process, but it should be pretty simple. After that, I'll be putting up a couple of layers of sound deadening and impact resistant material. The first being black foam attached directly to the back wall. It'll protect that wall, but it'll also primarily just deaden sound of impact. After that, we're going to be hanging 2 king-size memory foam mattresses from the frame I built directly behind the screen. This will really help with sound, but it'll also primarily help with bounce back coming off of the tight screen that we're going to try to achieve to get a really nice picture. Once those mattresses are hung up, I will be ready to hang the screen. I'll be using zip ties to do this. I know a lot of people use bungees. I think I'll have a little more control over how tight I make it, and I'll be able to get it in a little tighter space with the zip ties. One big issue here is that I've only got 8 foot 3 inches of clearance on that left side under the soffit to fit an 8-foot screen and try to pull it tight against the frame. So there's not much space to do this. I think zip ties are going to be my best option. I'll also put the same black foam I use behind the screen above and on the sides of the screen and on all the walls surrounding the hitting area. With the hitting screen complete, I'll move on to the floor. Because the hitting mat is 2.5 inches thick, I actually have to build a full subfloor to raise up the turf surrounding the mat up to the same height. To accomplish this, I'll be using pressure-treated 2x4 studs anywhere there's ground contact with the concrete. And I'll be laying out a simple 2-foot space pattern with a little extra support around the hitting mat where there's going to be a lot of traffic. I plan to toenail the bordering studs to the exterior walls and toenail the interior studs to each other. In addition, I'll bolt the studs that surround the mat down directly to the concrete floor to prevent any kind of slippage. Once the studs are secured in place, I will cut and install 4x8 by 1/2 inch panels of OSB plywood. On top of the OSB, I'll be installing an approach pad. This is a 2-layer pad made of rubber and foam that more or less gives you better feel for both chipping and putting. I'll go into the details a little bit later in the video. The last step of the process is to install the putting turf and the border panels that surround it. Now, the mat and the putting turf should be almost exactly the same height at this point, but if there are any minor discrepancies, I can use either plywood or some kind of thin mill sheeting to raise one or the other up to make them match. Real quick, we can also go over the items I've already purchased for the Golf Sim setup. The first is the hitting mat. I went with the Sig Pro Softy. Seems to be industry standard, seems to be the choice of almost every Redditor. I went with the 4x10 version as well, not because I necessarily want to host left-handed people, but because as the mat wears down on the right-handed side, instead of buying a whole new mat, I'll just flip this one around and get a fresh standing area. I think that's going to save me money overall. It sounds like they can wear out pretty quick, and I plan on putting a lot of use on this thing. Next is the approach pad. I got this from Turf Factory Direct. I also got my putting turf, my putting surface from the same company. This is like 0.7, 0.6 inches thick. Like you can see in the photo, it is a rubber layer with a foam layer on top. Much more receptive when you're chipping off of it or onto it, and when you're putting onto it. It's supposed to be some of the better feel in the game. I don't really know. It looks soft to me. I'll let you know how it goes. For my putting surface, I went with the TFD Putting Elite. I was overwhelmed by the number of options. For turf, this seems to be a well-liked one online, but I will not have much of a frame of reference. Anyone who's used turf before, let me know. How did I do? Is this a good choice? I'm basically basing all of my decisions on Reddit, so hoping that puts me in a good place. Last but not least, we've got the impact screen. I went with the premium model from Carl's Place, and I added the padding flaps. These kind of flip over your grommets and over your frame once you've attached them to each other, and allow you to kind of protect your frame in a built-in way that should be pretty seamless. I'll let you know if that's more trouble than it's worth, but overall, I think I basically picked all the things that Reddit suggested. I think it's going to turn out well, but in the next video, you'll see me actually putting this thing together. Hopefully, I'll post it kind of as I'm putting up the screen in the foam, somewhere in that stage, so you'll kind of see a midway point. And then the final video, I'll be hooking up everything, and that's kind of the part I'm really afraid of. Trying to get the computer, the sim, the projector, everything to talk, and the software to work right. That's where I'm intimidated. The carpentry I feel fine about. So appreciate you guys for watching another episode on the Road Trip Rolls YouTube channel. Stay tuned, subscribe, sign up for our email list. I'll see you next time.